Hey, Math 206, this is Dr. McGaffey, and we are working to solve applications of percents. So most percent word problems can be solved by first, you got to understand what the problem is, figure out what your unknown is, and then translate that into one of those simpler types of word problems that we saw in the last video. So Dejan and his girlfriend enjoyed a dinner at a restaurant and the bill was $68.50. They want to leave a 20% tip. How much tip do they leave? So I need to understand what my unknown is. My unknown is the amount of tip. So let's just start there. So let X be the amount of for the tip. So what you need to know is what 20% of 68.50 is. So if we want to reword the word problem into something a little bit simpler, X is the amount of tip, and I need to make it 20% of the total. So I need to find the tip is 20% of the total, which is $68.50. So the tip is the unknown. So now I can translate this into an equation. Tip is X is 20%, so that's 0.20 or 0.2 of is times, and then $68.50. So now, again, if you remember what your what the shortcut is, 20%. To do 20% of some amount, you'll move the decimal point over one place and then double it. So moving that over one place, you get 6.85. If you wanted to approximate, so that's approximately double 7 or $14. Okay. So I'm just like looking ahead. I think it should be maybe a little bit less than $14. So 20%, so 0.20 times 68.50 gets me 13.7. And then we have to convert it back into the original format of the question. How much tip they will leave this amount of tip, but I need to write that as a dollar amount. So $13, and I won't just say 0.7, I'll put a 0 on the end to give my answers in terms of dollars and cents. So they'll leave $13.70 tip. All right, next question. The label on Mazeo's breakfast cereal said that one serving of cereal provides 85 milligrams of potassium. So where is it? That's like right here. It says 85 milligrams, which is 2% of the daily value. So that means 2% of how much potassium you should get in your day. So what is the recommended daily amount of potassium? So let's first decide what our unknown is. The total recommended daily amount of potassium. That's what I'm trying to find. So let's let X be the total amount, the total daily amount of potassium. And I should really decide what units I'm using to measure that. Just like back here, let X be the amount of the tip. I probably should have said like in dollars. That's the units that I'm going to give my answer in. So here, what units should I use for my answer? Since I was talking about milligrams to measure how many milligrams of potassium there was here, I should say that my answer should be given in milligrams or mgs. Okay, So now let's reword this. 1 serving of cereal provides 85 milligrams, which is 2% of the recommended daily amount. That recommended daily amount, that is my variable x. So let me rewrite this problem. 85 milligrams of potassium is 2% of the daily amount. So I can say 85 is 2% of the daily amount, which is my variable x. So now that I've got it translated to a much simpler word problem, I can write it as an equation. 85 is 2%, 2 over 100, or 0.02, moving that decimal point over 2 places, times x. Now I can solve for x by dividing both sides by that number 0.02. So that goes away. I'm left with x. And I can do 85 divided by 0.02, 4250. All right, 4,250. So that's my answer. Now let's rewrite it in terms of what the problem said. What is the total recommended daily amount of potassium? So x represents the total amount of daily amount of potassium in milligrams. So I can say that my answer, the total recommended daily amount of potassium is 4,250 milligrams, because milligrams were the units that I was using to measure that. All right, one more application problem. Mitzi received some gourmet brownies as a gift. The wrapper said each brownie was 480 calories and had 240 calories of fat. What percent of the total calories in each brownie comes from fat? So first thing we need to do is recognize what our unknown is. What percent of the total calories? So my answer will be the percent. So let x equal the percent, but I usually don't like to use percents in my equations, so I'll say like written as a decimal. Of the total calories okay. So now let's rewrite the question. The question is, what percent of the total calories in each brownie comes from fat? So, or is equal to the fat. So what percent, that's x, of the total calories, so x percent of the total calories is equal to the fat calories. So I'll say x times the total, which was 480 calories, is equal to the fat calories, 240. So to solve for x, we can divide both sides by 480 to get x by itself equals 240 over 480. That's 0.5. Or 0.50. All right, so remember, x was the percent written as a decimal. So if I want to write that as a percent, I should say 50% of the total calories comes from fat. So it's not really a healthy brownie, right? If half of your brownie's calories is fat.